Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 23 of Two Amazon Sellers and a Microphone. Today, Chris and I have a very special guest. Sam Page from Amazon SEO Experts is on with us. Sam, what's happening?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thanks for coming on. I was excited. I posted this, I don't know which episode it was, posted a recent episode on LinkedIn, and you jumped right on, and it was nice. You commented and asked that if we wanted you to come on the show, and of course, we'd love to have you on the show. So Cool. It's exciting. Plus, I found out that you're a tennis guy,
yeah,
like me. So that was exciting to be able to talk tennis too. But
yeah,
like I said,
get into it.
Thanks so much for coming on. I'm excited because this is gonna to be able to talk today about SEO on Amazon listings. It's so important for sellers, and I think this is great. It's a great topic because Chris and I, this would be helpful for us too.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. We got some questions we've got here, and we're just going to go down this list here and
Sure.
just kind of learn a little bit about, creating a good listing and what it takes, how you rank better, and just kind of getting the nuts and bolts on when you set up a listing, what you should and shouldn't do. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Oh yeah. Before we crank up, though, why don't you give us a little bit of your background? Tell us about you and all the stuff you've got going on. You're a busy man.
Yeah, super busy. Maybe too busy, but I'd rather be busy than bored. But yeah, I guess to take a step back a little bit about me, I've been doing just SEO in general since about 2002, 2003. When I was in college, I bought an online casino.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I bought that. Back then, you could gamble online. You could play poker online. There was a poker boom back then, and you could deposit with credit cards. And instead of going to classes like a good college student, I deposited money, and I was lucky. I think I was more lucky than good. I made out with some money, and more money than I should have had in college. And for sure, I said, okay, anything I want to, I can see myself blowing this money. So I ended up buying this online casino. It was pumppoker.com was the name of it. And it was funny because I had no idea what I was doing. I just wanted to do something, and this is something I knew decently well. As far as like the subject matter, marketing a website or running a business at all, I had no experience with. But I jumped into it, and we started getting some good players. Like actually, we had sports betting too, and it was about around the time of the World Cup, and it really boosted the bottom line of the website. And I saw on the horizon that they were going to start banning credit card deposits in the U.S. So I ended up selling that. And then with the money I made on that, I wish I could say I made a smart decision, but I ended up just blowing it all partying, and especially on the trip to Los Angeles at 22 years old or whatever. I think maybe in some ways it was a really expensive but valuable lesson to learn at that age. I never blew money again after that. Proud to say. So yeah, and from there though, I learned, I learned the basics of SEO. Back then, there weren't many resources, so there's a lot of trial and error. From there, I started working at an agency and learning as much as I could. Trying to get my feet wet, learn PPC, learn SEO content. Basically anything that the agency was offering, I was jumping into. And over the next few years, I kind of pursued that path. Around 2007, 2008, I started dabbling on Amazon, and I created a couple ebooks. And I published one ebook. It was like how to buy and sell cars for profit. It was something I had tried in the past on my own, and it was kind of, I was successful at doing that. And so it was like a side hustle type of thing, and I put it up as an ebook, and actually, tried to rank it, get some sales to it, run deals, and it was really successful. It was a lot different back then on Amazon than it is now, of course. you could get a review by having friends and family review it, or some other maybe less scrupulous ways of getting reviews too. But anyway, I figured out how to do well on Amazon, and so I basically created a business of like we were churning out. So I had two employees that we were churning out ebooks. So like I would just feed them topics. They would create the ebook, list it, sell it. And we had, I think, like 300 ebooks published at one point.
Wow.
So yeah, and then from then I said, well, this is good. Let's try it with real products. So I started selling my own products. I sourced from China, had a connection there, and yeah. So I just started private labeling before, this was really a huge niche, and Amazon was obviously the one that was the most successful for me. eBay was there, but it was nothing like Amazon was back 12 years ago, even then. So yeah, it was really successful with two products. I ended up selling those two products to competitors, and in that meantime, after that, I was I actually had a lot of people reach out to me and say, can you help me with my product? And kind of word got out that I was good with Amazon marketing. And I said, yeah, sure. And I saw that there was a big need for that. So I created a website, AmazonSEOexperts.com, and started sort of making a more formal agency. Over the first few years, we grew really rapidly because there was no one else doing it. Honestly, if you searched in like Amazon SEO company or SEO service, there was no other website there. And so we had first mover advantage and got a lot of really good clients. We grew too quickly because it's not a scalable thing. It's not like Amazon as an SEO practice is like a lot like Google in some ways, where it's like you need a custom approach for each product, and it's a very time intensive task. So we struggled with really competitive clients, and we're really successful with easy clients. But I couldn't sort of wrestle that idea at night of having clients that weren't successful. So we ended up scaling back, and now we take on clients that we have the bandwidth for. So it could be a big client, but we want to make sure that we can give that client the right amount of attention to make sure that they're successful. But yeah, that's kind of where we land today. So it's there's only 5 of us. We all work remote, and we all focus really intensely on our clients and make sure that they get the results that we want, the expectations that we're setting for them. So yeah, I know it's a long story, but I don't know how to tell it any more succinctly than that.
No, that's cool. I mean, it sounds like you've got tons of experience. You've been in the Amazon space a really long time. I mean, Chris and I both started around 2013. We thought it was, we were jumping in early then, and you were in way before that. That's
yeah. It's funny to see there was some people that crossed over too. I remember there's like an Amazon company that the guys that run it now, it's one that most people have heard of. It's based here in Austin, where I'm at, and those guys were selling courses on how to rank on Google, and then one day they switched over on how to rank on Amazon, and that was their course. And they built a whole business out of that. But it's funny to see how the things progressed through over the years.
Mm-hmm. It is. Well, I'd love to just pick your brain now about creating really good listings, and what SEO looks like on Amazon, how important it is, and mistakes that you see made. Just we'll go through a lot, because I think there's so much value here for people tuning in that would love to take you through it. So right now, when you're starting from scratch on a listing, what are the steps that you take to create the listing?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The first thing you want to do is keyword research. Comprehensive keyword research is the bedrock of a successful listing. So if you don't know what keywords you're targeting, you're going to just be throwing stuff at a wall, and you don't want to be doing that. You want to be, cut down on that learning curve as much as possible. So yeah, I spend a lot of time on keyword research, and then from there, building the listing looks a lot like what the most successful competitors in your niche are doing. If your competitors are filling out everything, then you should fill out everything. And if they're going long or short on things, you should follow that too. I find that, you can do the bare minimum sometimes and still be successful, but it's in spite of that. It's better if Amazon's offering it, you should probably take advantage of it. It's sort of the rule of thumb that I say. Yeah, I think that's where things would start. But make sure that you're following and focusing on the keywords. Your strategy is based on the keywords that you found to be the most valuable for you. If you're in a super competitive niche, let me point this out too. I think it's important that if you're in a super competitive niche, let's say your focus keyword is something like cell phone covers, you're not going to be able to compete against cell phone covers as a keyword when you're starting. If you're brand new, right? Just forget it. You're going to want to go super, super niche and find a keyword that you're targeting that you can actually compete with. So something, the volume's going to be low, but start off with something that's attainable rather than something that's just ultimately just unattainable. Unless, there's some companies that are starting from scratch and they have $1 million in budget or more per month allocated to tackle those keywords. That's a different story. Most products don't have that. But yeah, find the keywords that are a little bit easier to tackle first.
So when you're launching a new product, you're really laser focused on trying to just rank for 1 or 2 keywords, and you're utilizing everything for that early on. Whether it's PPC, your title, the whole bit, just focused on gearing it towards that specific keyword.
Yeah, I would say so. And then of course, some of those keywords have variations, but I would say focus really closely on a few keywords. Yeah, and then everything, even the PPC campaigns afterwards, focus on those keywords.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're creating the listing, you're doing the keyword research. What do you start with first? Are you going to the bullets first and getting those figured out? Or are you going straight to the title and focusing there first, or description? What's that process look like?
Yeah, I think the first step I take is looking at the competitor titles. Usually they're going to have that keyword and their keyword variations that are most important in the titles. You can dive further into it. I use some keyword research tools on Amazon too, and that kind of cuts down on some of the time I spend doing it. But yeah, also you can look and see what the title of reviews look like, and you can sort of mine reviews on those competitor products for keyword research ideas.
Interesting. Nice. Mm-hmm. So when you're just looking around at people that are coming on as clients or what you see in the space, what are some common mistakes that you see sellers making with their listings?
Broadly, let's not get too specific. I think broadly is the image carousel is usually, or the A+ content. Those are really hard to do well, and that's the one I see probably done with the worst. Is skimping on quality image content or video content. It's easy to put a video in the carousel now, and you should do it. But a lot of companies, they're more focused on hurrying up and getting the product listed on Amazon, and then they cut corners when it comes to the content, like the image content, and that's a huge red flag to me. It's not a red flag. It's just something you shouldn't do. Right? That's the big mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we see that a lot too when we work with sellers. Is they only have 1 or 2 images, and it's like you need to get some more images for that listing, because when somebody comes to your listing, they're not going to convert if you only have a few images. So that seems like a lot of people miss out on that.
A lot of sentiment is driven from that image too. What's the quality of the product? People, if people feel like they're getting a high quality product, they're going to review it better too. They're going to be happier customers.
Absolutely. All right, I got a question for you. I mean, have you seen it? Is it possible right now to rank a product with just the way you write your listings and your titles without using PPC in Amazon right now? Or does the listing, all that, just help you rank better when you run ads?
Yeah, if you have zero competition, you could probably rank it. If you have a totally novel product, yeah, you could probably rank it. Or if you have like one competitor who's just absolutely terrible at Amazon. But ultimately, I don't see any way around ranking products without doing PPC, right? You have to invest in Amazon marketing services.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, you're kind of foolish if you don't, because every other platform, every other like Google, Facebook, or anything, eBay, none of those things have a paid ad platform that directly influences the organic rankings, and Amazon does. So if you're not investing in it, you should be. Plus, the return on investment on these PPC ads on Amazon is ridiculously good right now. So it's only going to get more expensive as competition jumps in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's so interesting. I think that's something that a lot of sellers don't realize, that people that are getting onto Amazon, is understanding the whole Amazon flywheel effect, about how, I mean, if whatever you're doing to drive sales to your product just moves you up the rankings organically. And when you're sitting at the top of search on Amazon, I mean, that's the best real estate on the internet.
Yeah, it's a perpetual ranking algorithm, right? Like the more sales and reviews and conversions you get, the more sales and reviews and conversions you're going to get, right? So that's always the goal with new products, is to crack into this top 3, top 5 positions, because it's really sustainable once you get there. Like the core data points of Amazon's algorithm is such that they perpetuate upon themselves. So the hard part is cracking into that. But yeah, absolutely.
How does doing your listing, all these things we're talking about with you, so how does that help you crack into that? How does a good listing help your ads, help you show up or rank faster organically? How does all that work on the Amazon space?
Yeah, so from my experience, there's really 3 main data points to that algorithm, and it's the reviews, the conversion rates, and the sales volume. Mm-hmm. So the better you do at those 3 things, the better you're going to rank. So for sure, your on-page optimizations, your content, the way you build the listing is going to positively influence your conversion rates and also your reviews. So there's really 2 things that you influence there, but conversion rates is the most obvious. So if you have a highly converting product, like if you guys are wondering, like in what context I'm talking conversions, right? Like someone goes on Amazon, types in cell phone cover, they see your product, they click through to your product, and then they buy the product. Amazon sees that as a conversion for the keyword cell phone cover, and they're going to start ranking you better if you convert better than the competition. And so yes, if your product listing has awesome content, good video content, good image content, good reviews, all those things are going to help your conversion rates. So if you have the worst converting product, but you're getting tons of sales, you're going to lose out on a lot of potential success there. You're wasting a lot of money with paid ads too.
Yeah, we see this too. Yeah, as I say, we see that as well. Like people come to us, they're like, my ads are not performing, my ad cost is too high, and it's like, well, you may not have an ad problem, it may be a listing problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's hard to diagnose if you're in one of those super spammy niches like cell phone covers or something, because the cost per clicks are really high, and you see some of the listings that look like, by all measures, they would not convert well. So sometimes it can be difficult to diagnose if it's a conversion problem or if it's just a spammy, expensive niche problem. But most often, it's easier to identify if your product listing compared. Just pull up on one monitor your listing and the Monitor, the top ranking listing, you can diagnose pretty quickly whose is better converting.
Right. Exactly. Speaking of those competitive niches and stuff, what do you tell a client is it tricky to have a client that's in a really competitive niche like that?
Yeah.
What do you do in terms of setting expectations? Because that is really hard. I mean, in some of those niches, it can be impossible to have a low ACoS. It's tricky at least to have a low ACoS, and in terms of just if it's starting out and you're in product research, what you want to sell, what do you say to someone who's coming to you say, I'm looking to sell iPhone cases?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's just going to get more and more challenging too, as far as this is concerned. But a lot of times I try to get a feel for what their commitment level is, what their budget is. I will say in super spammy niches, it's a benefit if you're a big brand. You can still pull in a good converting traffic through branded search terms, and that's a good way to compete against some of these black hat spammer type of product listings. I don't anticipate Amazon changing anything too drastically too soon. Like, I don't think that they're going to be able to filter out some of these black hat Amazon sellers. So I think that we just need, as white hat sellers, as brands, we need to just learn how to compete alongside them. But yeah, I think a lot of it too comes down to like, what's your pain threshold? Like, how much are you willing to spend in paid ads, and not only on Amazon, but you're going to have to market off of Amazon to drive traffic to this listing. And what's your pain threshold? Like, how long can we break even or even take a loss on a product in order to get the sales volume and the review volume and the conversion rates high enough to get the rankings that we need? And I think a lot of this is a long term, right? Because if you look at Google, it's harder to rank now than ever. If you look at any other search engine, it's hard to rank there, and it's always gotten harder as the algorithms get more sophisticated. And I think Amazon is no different. I think it's going to get more complex and more difficult. And now is the easiest, like now will be the easiest time to generate new sales and reviews, especially reviews that are going to be worth their weight in gold in the next 5 to 10 years. So we need to take advantage of the resources available and assume that as a brand, you're going to be here longer and can outlast the spammy, typically foreign sellers.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. So let's go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I just want to touch real quick on a couple things here. So talking about ranking, a lot of people will spend time on like writing really thorough bullet points or really thorough descriptions. Between the bullets, the description, the search term field, and the title, what would be the most important field to focus on as far as making sure you're going to rank for those keywords? Would it be, putting those in the title first, or putting them towards the beginning of the title? I've heard that was something really good, is like put your main search term at the beginning of the title. Kind of touch on that a little bit if you could.
Yeah, I think for me, of all those places, if you're excluding, if you have to get one and only one, I would say get the title. That's my opinion is the most important. You could probably find an outlier case where it wasn't, but I think 99 times out of 100, the title is the most important on-page element. The location of where your keywords are in the title, I think that used to be the case where it was more crucial to be in the front, but I think that's becoming less the case. I've ran tests recently where I took the brand out, like the brand name out of the title, and put the keyword straight at the beginning. And then I put the brand name back in and moved the keyword back. And I saw an improvement with the brand in the front. So typically, you would say, and this is an N of 1, right? So this isn't the most scientific study, but it kind of confirmed my suspicions there. But yeah, that's kind of where I land on that.
So title, then followed by bullets, description, and search terms, I'm assuming?
Yeah, search terms definitely last. but yeah, I think, yeah, bullet points, then description. And then A plus content probably falls in that description too.
How big of an impact do you think that A plus content makes just in general when you, I mean, a lot of people don't even scroll that far, or a lot of people are on mobile. I don't know how much they're flipping through the images. Obviously A plus content looks better, makes your listing more professional. It has to help conversions. Do you see that? You know, let's say I'm a new seller and I haven't got brand registry yet. I'm still waiting on my trademark, so I can't do a lot of that stuff. Am I missing out a ton, or is it kind of important, or what's your take on that?
I think you're missing out a ton, but you can kind of wing it. It's you see, it happens a lot with foreign sellers where they can't get brand registry, so they don't have it, and they're still successful, but it's a lot more work for them. I think it depends on the niche, like anything. It all depends on what your niche is. But for sure, if you're selling something as a premium option, you need to have A plus content. If it's an expensive item, for sure you need A plus content. You're going to have to build this credibility with the customer. And someone who's spending thousands of dollars on Amazon on one product, potentially, you know, let's say in this scenario, maybe make a hypothetical. If you're spending $2,000 on a product on Amazon, you probably will scroll down there, and like that A plus content will make a difference. But yeah, I think in general, you gotta, if Amazon's offering it, right, just take advantage of it, use it. I will say, I think if you have really, really bad A plus content, it's probably worse than not having A plus content. So,
good point.
What would really bad A plus content be? Just too much text or awful images?
Awful images, like broken English. I think awful images, broken English. You know, I could pull up a few examples, but yeah, just don't mess it up. Like, I think also having like foreign language thrown in there too. Just make it, you know, be smart about it. Don't let your nephew or niece make the images in Microsoft Paint or whatever. Just yeah.
Something that's been just curious for me is the images, both on A plus and on the listing. Mm-hmm. When saving those images, when you save those images, if I save it and I'm selling a dog brush, if I save an image using like my top 10 keywords, and each image I save with a different keyword, dog brush for short hair, dog brush for long hair, dog brush for golden doodle, and I save each image differently. Does that help with any type of like SEO as far as on Amazon or Google?
I think it does, and I do that, right? Like I think that the way you title and like the actual name of the image, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
The file name.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do that. It's definitely works in Google, and I assume if it works in Google, then Amazon's using that data too.
That's good. I'm going to change all my files now.
That's it. Little things like that most people don't think about, for sure.
Yeah.
And I've got a lot of images I've saved as image number 1, image number 2, and that probably can make a big difference.
If you're an engineer, it's not a hard thing to do too, right? If you're working on these algorithms, that's a really easy data point to include into the algorithm.
For sure. Going on that a little bit, in terms of, because I think you touched on this before, talking about basing your listing on what your best competitors are doing, whether you do long or short or all that. With those bullet points, I see both things. I see bullet points that go on, they're super long. Maybe there's a lot of keyword stuffing going on in there, or it's good. In your opinion, or if you have any data behind it, what short or long, what's better, both with title and bullet points? Is it better to be crystal clear and brief, or just go on forever?
When I start out, if I have no data on the niche, I usually go long on both the title and the descriptor or than the bullet points. That's my default. The thing is, though, that could be different totally depending on the product and the niche, though. So like some people shopping in this niche may just be looking for quick, they're ready to buy right away. They just want quick data, feed me this bullet point and then I'll buy. And you kind of have to just A/B test this stuff and find out what works well. So that's why I tend to assume that some of the top sellers in these niches have already done that hard work, and I will follow what they've done. Now, if they only have like 10 reviews, 20 reviews or something like that, 100 reviews, then probably they haven't done that much work. So, but thousands of reviews, yeah, eventually they've put in the time and effort.
That's a good point, though, to just follow. I mean, that's typically my strategy when I start is I just look at what my competitors are doing and try to mimic as best as possible and differentiate myself slightly, but stay in their lane. Because if they're having success, then they've done the research and put it in there. That's a really, really good point. In terms of all the different fields you can fill out, are there any other fields when you're creating your listing that you feel like help? I mean, obviously you got the main ones, but there's a lot of back end fields and other things that you can fill out. I mean, do you fill out as much of that as you possibly can? Anything at all that's relevant to the product? Help?
Yeah, put it in there. This is just part of doing the work that other people won't do. So there's not many times do I come across a client who has that completely filled out, every potential field. And if you're the one putting in the effort and filling out all of those fields, you're going to be ahead of the majority of your competitors in that regard. And it's just one more thing of do the work that people are not willing to do. And so, I recommend putting all that in.
Yeah. And we'd say the same thing with advertising. I mean, when we talk to people about running their ads, use every possible option Amazon has. And a lot of times if it's something that's newer, like with advertising, they constantly launch, new ways you can advertise. The newer stuff is underutilized. There could be quick wins there, quick gains.
And cheaper. It's usually cheaper because it's less adopted, right? And then as it matures, it gets more expensive. What do you guys think of these video, advertising?
It's great. They convert really well from what we've seen from all the people that we work with. I mean, they're really working well.
Even in like industrial, I've seen even a sort of like an industrial product, the video ads have worked well. So really fascinating.
Yeah.
I just to kind of quick tell a story. I looked up air filter 24 by 24. You guys can check this out. But the video ad for this thing was great. It was just a lady sitting still, and all this like dust fell on her, just kept coming on her, just falling on her. And then she took this filter and she put it over her head, and the dust fell.
Nice.
So it got my attention, and I'm sure it wasn't very expensive to create, but I'm sure it converts like crazy. So I'm a big fan of video. I mean, we talk to clients all the time. Like, if you don't have a video ad, you need to get one made because they're going to convert probably better than your sponsored product ads are.
Yeah, right now for sure.
On that note, I got the video note. I got a question about Amazon Live. Have you seen anything, or do you use Amazon Live, or have you seen an effect?
Yeah. I've dabbled with it, to be honest. I wouldn't say I'm an expert on Amazon Live. I tried it and I didn't get great results from it. So I kind of just pulled away from it and maybe I need to go back and revisit it with a different client. But yeah, to be honest, it's not like, it hasn't been anything significant for me, but again, that could be just my fault, right? It could be, I could have just not given it the right attention. So, I mean, it sounds like you probably had some experience with it. What do you think?
I haven't used it myself, but I was talking to somebody the other day who was just making tons and tons of Amazon Live videos. And they tend to show up. They show up all over the place. I mean, they were showing up in like videos, related to this product. They're popping up in those sections. So I'm not sure what the strategy is behind it, but I was just curious to see if that was another avenue that you've seen success with. But
yeah, I wish I could say so.
Go ahead, Chris.
What is, before we wrap up here, I want to give you a chance to obviously talk a little bit about what is one tip, like one easy tip to do your listing that you would give to sellers out there that they can probably do right now?
Okay, for sure, if you're a brand new seller, get on the early reviewer program. Pay $50 or whatever, $60 per review through Amazon. If you have 5, you get 5 reviews from it. If you have variants on the listing, enroll all the variants. Nobody wants to be the first person to leave a review on a product. So get the first reviews in, and then you're off to the races. If you're not a new seller, I would say a big tip is to combine your listings where they make sense, right? Like get variants on listings if it makes sense. It's an amazing amount of clients that come to me and they have, let's say they're selling like gummy bears, right? They have like a pound bag of gummy bears and a half-pound bag of gummy bears, and they're just separate listings. Like the first thing I do is say, combine these listings, you get combined review count. And then maybe somebody who's shopping sees the 1-pound bag first. And then when they get through to the listing, they're like, oh, I really only wanted the half-pound bag. And then they convert better than they would have if it was a 1-pound bag, right? So combine the listings if you have good, reasonable variants, and then get into the early reviewer program.
Nice. Dustin, you got any other ones?
No, that's a great one. I do have one more. The Amazon question and answer section on the listing, there you see some listings where there's like hundreds of questions and answers, and does that help a lot in the optimization of the listing? Obviously, it's good content. It helps it maybe helps conversion because they get their question answered. So does it help? Is it good for search engine optimization? And how can you get that started? How can you facilitate people asking questions if it is important?
Yeah, again, it's going to be niche dependent, right? Like, so some niches you'll just see more questions and answers than others, but it's absolutely important for conversion rates. You want to see what other people on what the competitors have as far as questions and answers, and make sure you can address that in your listing, but also be prepared to answer that in your own question and answer section. But yeah, for sure, it's an important thing to have. It's great for SEO. The more mentions of certain, like having the keyword in the question is probably a small data point, but it's still probably worth having. How you seed that or how you get more questions and answers, you can go about that a variety of ways. You can just, I just let it come naturally. Don't try to force anything unless you absolutely have to, but yeah, I just let them come naturally.
Yeah. I was wondered how big of an impact that question and answer section has.
I guess I'm sorry, I probably didn't answer that, like the impact of it. I don't know exactly how impactful it is, but it's probably around the same level of impact as like an A+ content.
Interesting.
Got it.
Well, so if I'm out there, I've got my Amazon product, I'm ready to sell it. And I want some help. How do I get in touch with you?
Yeah.
Go out there, utilize your services.
Sure. Yeah. Just visit Amazon SEO, search engine optimization experts.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, just Sam Page, and you could probably say Sam Page at Amazon in the keyword box. But I'm doing YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, but it's less. It's like I'm starting to put a little bit of content about Amazon. I kind of just ramble about all the stuff I'm interested in, and also have some tennis videos of me if you guys want to watch me play some tennis.
Checking it out.
I know Dustin's definitely going to check that out.
Please, man. Yeah, don't scout me too hard before we play, but yeah. Yeah, and it's just my name, Sam Page. You can probably just type in like Sam Page in YouTube and find me that way. But yeah, or just reach out to me. You can also email me, sam@amazonseoexperts.com.
Well, Sam, that was fun. I can't wait till you come up to Kansas City and we do get to goodness, that's going to be fun.
Are we going to do a podcast on that? Like, will we have that live streamed?
Yeah,
So,
I'll be
winner take
Facebook
all.
Live, and then I'll show you guys playing.
We should.
That'd be awesome.
Chris can film. But Sam, thanks so much for coming on. That was a wealth of knowledge.
Thanks,
really,
guys.
I'll be implementing some of those things right now myself. But yeah, learned a ton. Really appreciate it. Everyone out there, please get in touch with Sam, AmazonSEOexperts.com, or find him on LinkedIn. Watch his YouTube videos. Study his tennis technique on the videos. But thanks again, Sam. And we'll hopefully get you on here another time down the road, talk about more Amazon. Thanks, man.
Cool. Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
Sam.